Aloha and welcome in. I am Kapualani. This is your timeless reading. To open up space, let's go ahead and tune in, connecting to the breath. I'm going to tune my tuning fork, excuse me, 3 times here. So as you breathe in, maybe think about breathing deeply in through the nose for a count of 4, and just calling in any goals or intentions that you may have for this time that we're sharing together. And you can hold it at the top for a count of 4, but exhale fully and completely through your mouth with a ha or a sigh, releasing anything and everything no longer serving your highest, greatest good and path. Okay, and take like 3 to 4 nice, deep, big breaths in and out. Okay, here we go. All right, so thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned, my name is Kapualani. For those who are new, and for those who have been following me for a while, if you've already maybe seen the most recent one, thank you so much for being here. But let's connect to the cards and say, Spirit, what is the message for us in this moment? And just keeping in mind, this is a general reading. So as always, take what resonates and leave the rest behind. So Spirit, what is the theme? What is the message at the core of things for us today? We've got 4 of Swords. Generally, when we see the 4 of Swords, like the first word that tends to come to mind is rest or relax. The 4 of Swords is really a sign that whatever conflict that you may have been going through that was occurring, we're now going to be in a space of peace and tranquility, or at least that is what is being recommended. Okay, so there's always a twofold side to things, right? So I'm going to see what this card beneath reveals here. 2 cards. Oh, we've got the 4 of Cups. We've got the 9 of Wands. So I'm going to kind of keep it in this way here. Something foundational is happening. Anywhere that there may have been some exhaustion or indecision, that should be coming to an end. I just saw 222 on my timer as I was saying that. And so, if you followed me for a while, I always say, if you do decide to look up that number, if you're familiar with angel number 222 or you've been seeing it around, drop it in the comments below. Let me know what your experience has been like, or if you happen to find a definition for that angel number. Leave it in the comments for us, okay? So there's something interesting here. Okay, Spirit's having me go deeper in, like really deeper into this message. Whatever past struggles, lessons, or actions that you've taken to get to this point, I'm hearing the struggle may have been real, and that time is kind of over. It's drawing to a close, or at least a point of respite. Okay, so whatever is going on, during the time that you're seeing this reading, and I tend to keep it open for like, the week ahead, or sometimes it does kind of trickle into the, following weeks, or there's future messages that come, months from now. I try to be discerning with that. But getting back to my point here, there's some kind of lesson that you had to learn to get to this point, to get to where you are now. And whatever, again, struggles or lessons that you may have been going through that felt challenging, that felt like, geez, when is this going to be over? Like, when you're in those retrogrades, for example, and things just can't help but go sideways, right? Just a little bit. We're just like, oh my gosh, is there anything that's gonna just kind of smooth it out here, or like, when is it over? So it's over is what I'm hearing, at least, like I said, until we hit another retrograde, maybe. But at the core of it, I'm getting this feeling of having a moment to breathe. There may be a level of dissatisfaction that you've also been moving through recently, I'm getting. And that too, it's going to pass, or it is already passing. Like, you may feel it as you're seeing this, that, at one point, maybe there was just a like nervousness. And if it's not nervousness, just this kind of like, all right, what's going on here. You know what I mean? Whether it's boredom, whether it's just waiting for time to pass because you'd rather be doing something else, going somewhere else, blah, 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 but you're having to get through all these trials and tribulations. Again, that's coming to a close here, okay, as I'm looking at this. And I do feel that, you know, it does connect more deeply to the bigger cosmic karmic scheme of things is what I'm hearing as well. So that just kind of had to come through as an initial message, but that's very interesting that we're seeing these energies. And so we've got 4 4, these 2 4 energies giving us a sign that that number 4 or 44 may be significant as well, again, for foundations, directions, stability, with satisfaction, as well as letting the mind be at rest. So what is the lesson in this, Spirit? What are we taking away from this energy? Oh, wow. So we had the 9 of Wands, and now we're going into the 10 of Wands. So we're closing out these cycles of burden and hardship. Even things where, you know, okay, so Spirit's telling me this is where those who especially have been drawn unconsciously to doing that generational healing, or you understand that that's part of what you're doing here on, you know, in this lifetime, that's what we're cycling out of, all of that work, quote unquote, right, that we've been doing on behalf of our, you know, generational lineages, our family, on behalf of the collective even, all right. That's all cycling out. We're reaching its closing, its turning point. There's something here also with an understanding that in seeing all of this through, in going through the experiences, the ups, the downs, the awakenings, you know, the ebbing and the flowing of it all, you're not walking away empty handed, but you're taking these life experiences with you. I also get that this goes even into the core of certain habits, family habits or traits, you know, like how certain little nuances that get passed down, like the way that you speak, the cadence of what you know, of saying something, or how you go about doing something, the way somebody stands or folds their hands, or whatever the case may be, like where they say, oh, it's a family trait, it's this and that, da da da, whatever was just sort of a more reactive thing or unconscious, and like you couldn't even help it, you know, where it's like, oh, that's just who I am. It's but it becomes a choice once you become aware of a certain habit or way of being. That's where it becomes a choice, right? We may slip into a space of being unconscious or subconscious, about, you know, just the way in which we go about doing things. But again, the more that we become aware, the more that we awaken to these things, because it may have been a back and a forth, right? Working our way, reconditioning from genetic, you know, habits and patterns. That's a lot. That's a lot. Like where they have those certain animals that just know where to go, right? Like the salmon that swim downstream into the ocean, and then they got to swim back to where they were born, kind of a thing, to in their life transition, their life cycle. How do they know where to go? They just go. You know what I'm saying? It's like a muscle memory. Thank you, Spirit. And so there's something here in terms of any of the heavier or the false or the distorted, okay, the things that we have done to survive, being in survival mode. 848 on my timer. All right, so we've got some nice 2 4 and 8, and these evens, 2 2 2, I believe, right? Then we have the 44, and then that 848 energy. So there's something foundational, something that is coming full circle here, something that's both closing out so that you can, you know, open things up to a point of personal evolution. And I think I may have mentioned that possibly in like even one of the previous readings in terms of our personal evolution and things coming through. But I digress. Let's see. Let's keep going here, Spirit. So what are we going to be, what's coming through for us? What are we moving into with that? Okay. So we got a few cards here. We got the Queen of Pentacles. Technically that kind of came out that way, but I'm hearing like, you may have everything that you need, but still be experiencing a certain degree of dissatisfaction. Like you're content, but at the same time, it's like you know that there's more. There's more to it. There's more to come. Um, okay, so I'm hearing for now, just for now, um, given this the current state of things, which we know is very much volatile and in flux, obviously changing, and maybe not necessarily on the external level, maybe not necessarily seemingly for the better, but you're gonna be like, if you're not feeling stable, the stability is right around the corner. Okay. um with this Queen of Pentacles. And so what do you guys notice here? I'm gonna give you a minute, and then throw it in the comments if you think of it. What do you notice about this spread, just straight up? Like, first of all, I mean, there are no major arcanas, right? We've got this Queen of Pentacles, which is that Earth Mother energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, just to give you a holla. Um, but yeah, no major arcana. So this tells us that we're focusing more on the practicality, the practical side of things. We're focusing a bit more on the day to day, the mundane. Okay. And this is something that I feel also, this is telling me that we're looking at things. It may feel again as though there are certain aspects of your day to day that are kind of boring or dragging out. But this is a time to reflect on the good that you've managed not only to build, and maybe you've heard me say that like before, I say that sometimes, but like, look at this with the Queen of Pentacles. We're going to give that Nine of Cups a little bit of wiggle room here, because it, like I said initially when it popped out, it was technically in reverse, but that's okay. We'll tune into the messages nevertheless. But the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, so stability, focusing on future stability, future foundations here. I want to get a little bit more light. Sorry about that. Um, hmm. Something is multiplying, and hopefully it's your income. But this the feeling of togetherness, that we got two tens as well, so endings and beginnings are going to be very significant. And look, we're going from this feeling of being burdened and maybe overwhelmed into this place of financial freedom, so to speak, or abundance, prosperity, feeling secure in our future and wellness and well-being. And maybe that's something that you're also working on and working toward. Maybe part of this dissatisfaction, if there is any dissatisfaction or feeling as though, when is enough going to be enough? Because right when I think that I'm ahead, like they change up the game or whatever it is, or some kind of a big bill comes through and whatever. um but in this case, I feel like, okay, hold on, there's something. They're just wanting me to notice all kinds of things today, especially. Yeah, you're working towards your leisure, whatever it is, the lessons that you've been learning and overcoming. This may have had to do with breaking through money blocks, prosperity blocks. It could have, even on relationship level, in terms of, manifesting, co-creating sacred partnership, for example, that is stable and that kind of thing. There's something else here as well in terms of building up to the goals and the desires that you wish to, co-create, that you wish to manifest. um in having gone through much of these, learning lessons and so forth, and what you're taking away with you, it's going to add to your future growth. It's going to add to your future stability, to your future fulfillment as well, prosperity and abundance. Foundations, building stable foundations. You're going to be moving into this period, or at least the ability to more clearly connect to the future that you desire. That is what we're seeing here. Okay, that's what we're seeing. And I feel like these are things that are just, they're in a space of like happening in real time. Whatever it is that's going on, things are happening in real time. And Spirit wants me to tell you, like, please forgive me for, I don't know where you are personally at, just in terms of being able to get things covered and feeling good or not feeling good or whatever. Obviously, I don't know. It's got to go with the balance from spirit. But for whatever reason, someone needs to hear this. The bills will be paid. Your bills will be paid. You will figure it out. The answer is actually in, your hands. And if it doesn't feel that way, again, give yourself a little bit of wiggle room to put down, like maybe you've been doing a lot of hard work. You've been working towards something, a goal. Could be towards your health as well, because the pentacles represents the physical body, and there's exertion that we're seeing here. But being able to kind of rest, it's like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with at this point, and we're just right. Our goal is right around the corner. It's right there, off in the distance. And this is where, again, it's leading you. So there's fulfillment that's coming on a, if it's not financial, like, because I'm just going to say financial, but it's manifesting physically. So this may be something where, again, it deals with your future wellness, because of physical, like your health. Okay, it could be dealing with, again, finances as well. This could be dealing with you being in a bit more of a solid space to focus, like, for example, if you're wanting to start your own business, because there's something about future developments that we're seeing here with this 10 of Pentacles. All right, so for those of you interested, if this is your first time watching, I'm just gonna throw in the little script. I really oh my gosh, I don't know why the word that I'm getting is inspire. I encourage you to hit that subscribe button if any of this resonated, so that you can catch more videos like these. There will be an extension to this, a part 2. You can find the link kapualani.com/extensions in the description box below, and I'll also make sure to leave it in the comments. But I'm going to pull from my animal spirit deck before I let you go. And just so you know, in part 2, we're going to be doing angel answers with yes, no questions. We're also going to be pulling from my romance angels. So, bit of love, bit of romance. But if you're not into any of that stuff, just tune in for the messages about whatever it is that you have a passion for or that brings you fulfillment. That's what we're going to be focusing on in that case. All right. So let's see, what is the angel guide coming through to work with us today? Tarantula. We've seen tarantula before. Okay, so very interesting. Very interesting. Let me say that in part 2, we're going to read from the Animal Spirit book. I don't know if I already said that. Sorry about that, guys. But tarantula, I'm getting the feelings and energies of sensitivity. I'm getting these energies of okay, so even though I've read Tarantula before, it's like it totally gets wiped from my memory. But I'm just getting this feeling of that's just what's coming through. Sensitivity. And with the number 8, we saw 848. There's something with the number 8 with the infinity. Okay, thank you, Spirit. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and this is where this particular message with tarantulas lead me, which has probably nothing to do with tarantula medicine. So forgive me, but it just takes me to this download. Recently, there've been a lot. I have been going through a lot of, and I never really bring my own stuff into this, but I'm saying this because when I had shared this with a couple of friends who are both like healers and spiritual and whatnot, they kind of were having similar experiences, but the digestive issues. And I say that because I think about the figure 8 and then balancing the feminine and masculine, the sacred feminine, sacred masculine. So there is an integration that's happening here. Okay, a balancing of the yin yang of our left and right hemispheres on another level, on a next level. But it's something that could be very, very mundane, especially in terms of how we're seeing these cards. And I'm thinking about the tarantula crawling. It may feel as though things are kind of crawling slowly by or whatnot, but it's going to be lightening up. If it has felt heavy, things are going to be turning around and feeling, not that pentacles are not heavy because they're earth energy and water, but it's where you've been feeling exhausted from having to push and push, things are going to be slowing down. Okay, I just saw 1919 on my timer. But getting back to that figure 8 energy, that integration again of the masculine and feminine. So if you've had any lower body, especially those lower chakras with the belly, even in the solar plexus, whether it's just being wobbly, but more about like just anything going on internally, like literally with the belly, with digesting, there's something that's being aligned, corrected, balanced, worked through. So I'm just sending you lots of support, well, one way or another. But especially if you can relate, like, let us know, let me know in the comments what your experience is like, what it's been. And we'll see, just to kind of get an idea of what's all kind of going on out there. And also send support, because that's that root, the base, our physical beingness, as well as, moving into that space of desire, the wants and the needs and fulfillment here. And so it'll be really interesting to see how things continue to evolve and transcend, because a lot of that foundational stuff, the root chakra stuff, it is being very much triggered here. And especially like we see all of this red with that just light, faint orange and yellow at the core, which are those lower body chakras. So that's where Tarantula is taking me today. But if you'd like to book a session, I am available live or pre-recorded at kapualani.com. I'll see you in part 2 for those who are interested. It starts at $1.11. It's on a sliding scale. So pretty much, not exactly, but pay what you can. All right. So I'm going to just close it out here, and say thank you. And I will see you in part 2.